What darkness in you has Alice brought to life? Just be gentle. Welcome to Legends of Gotham, where we talk about Fox's hit series Gotham, set in the world of Batman. I'm Bill Meeks.
And I'm Anne-Marie DeSimone.
And we are here very early, if you can see in the window behind me.
There's daylight.
Normally there's not daylight back there, but we're recording extra early because I have to go work on the election.
The working thing.
I work in the news, so the election's tonight. Big election.
In case you didn't know, there's an election today.
I mean, of course, we all know that Oswald Cobblepot already won.
Cobblepot for mayor.
But they're doing like a little office the president or something like that.
I don't know who this guy is.
But you're joining us here. Normally it would be 8:30 p.m. EST. Right now it's 9:50 a.m. EST. Over in live.universebox.com with our chatters. We have Bookworm and Jim and Penfold and Wynn.
Talon.
Yeah, and I guess Jim is Detective Jim Gordon.
Soon to be the commish.
Soon to be the commish. And not the commish Michael Chiklis's famed 80s role, but the commish, the legitimate commissioner of Gotham City.
The legitimate one.
Friend O Batman. But speaking of Michael Chiklis, he had quite a starring role in last night's episode. So why don't we get into the riddling rhyming episode summary, and then we'll get started talking about this crazy episode. It's Clobberin time.
How does a good cop finally turn bad? When crooks work the system, Barnes gets real mad. How will Jim handle his return to the force? By hunting down monsters with Harvey, of course. Isabella is freaky. Ed has no clue. Why go for Oswald when Kringle will do? Why does nobody notice Barnes' pale blush? He'd better hope for a facial blonde rush. Where did it go?
But a blood rush into my heart. But a blood rush into my brain. Blood Rush. Anne-Marie, what'd you think?
It was so good.
It was really good.
It felt very movie-like this week.
It did. It was very cinematic.
It was.
As Wynn in the chat room says, Barnes was hulking out. I was thinking of another Marvel character. I don't know what the Thang, the Thong, something like that. But just one of those things. And so. Blood Rush. It was quite good. And you know what? It kind of brought to mind, it kind of felt to me like a tale of two Gothams. Now, maybe it was just because Jim is finally back on the force, but this episode felt closer to season 1 than we've seen since, season 1. A couple of the points of similarity I noticed were that it was one tightly plotted mystery for Jim and Harvey to solve, the face cutting. Of course, Jim and Harvey on the beat, working the streets, solving a case, working with the forensics guy who's subbing for the medical examiner, just like Ed did in season 1. A heavy focus on one character, Barnes, of course. Falcone's presence looming in the background. I'll have more on that later. Good. And Oswald running schemes on self-serving schemes behind the backs of everyone who's trusted him.
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot of similarities here. So maybe after last week's episode, which paid off a lot of plot points set up in season 1, the writers thought it would be a good idea to reconcile the show Gotham was in season 1 with the show Gotham has blossomed into over seasons 2 and 3. Now, while we pushed the Mad City arc along in this episode, it feels like the procedural spirit of season 1 was front and center. It felt so much like a season 1 episode. It was just nutty, absolutely nutty. And that's not a bad thing. As long as they don't go back to that format entirely, I don't want them to just abandon the serialized story arcs they've been doing. But it felt really, really good to kind of feel that season 1 stuff. And, now if we could just get Montoya and Allen back, that would be nice.
That would be perfect.
Yeah, and over in the chat room, Penfold says, Chiklis killed it last night, literally and figuratively. And Bookworm says, both Jim and Lee are back at the GCPD. Also, Jim reminds me, it's the Thing. Yes, I know, the Thing. I was making a jokey. And Wynn also says, liked this episode a lot precisely because it was like season 1. Did you notice any similarities with season 1 at all, Anne-Marie?
I think you pointed out more than I noticed.
Really?
So, yeah. No.
That's fair. And also, Kringle was all over the place, too. Kringle. And that's the first of a few love triangles you wanted to talk about, right?
Absolutely. Okay, so the first triangle being the Penguin, the Ed, and the Isabella. Okay, so the moment that Isabella realizes that Penguin is in love with Ed too and chooses not to step back is possibly one of my favorite things.
These are a few of my favorite things.
She knows, She knows that he's the mayor and all of his underworldly dealings, but she's still like, yeah, I'm going to fight for him because I love him and he loves me. And basically. And I was just like, oh, okay. While this may be a little foolish of her, even more foolish than not to anticipate something like, I don't know, her brakes getting cut. You got to give her respect for the gusto. Like, go for it, girl. Ed is literally just blindsided by his love for Kringle. Yes, Kringle, not Isabella, and has no idea what is actually going on, I think. While the glasses were the tip of the iceberg, he goes full on crazy when she cosplays as Kristen Kringle. I don't even know if he's really in love with Isabella. I think he's in love with the idea of Kristen.
Yeah, and she just happens to fill that role at the moment.
Right, so that's a little... Also, is she even dead? Like, I don't actually think they killed her off.
Well, yeah, Gotham is not afraid to show dismembered body parts and dead bodies and things. I mean, in this episode, there was a torso in a bathtub. So.
Right. But the thing is, like, we threw a dude out of how many stories? He landed on a car and he was still alive, at least enough to say Barnes.
Yeah.
So I don't actually think we killed off Kringle. I think, like, at the last second something happened because we never saw the crash.
Yeah.
We heard things, but we didn't hear necessarily that crash.
Yeah, I definitely feel like both Oswald and Barnes are next week or in the next couple weeks are going to get bitten by bodies they thought were dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I think both of them are like, okay, I've got this under control. I'm in control of the situation. No. And two bodies are going to show up to bite them in the ass. Right. Guaranteed. Literally and biting. Figuratively.
Yes. But the chances that she's killed off already when we haven't really gotten her story is what I find really hard to believe. There is absolutely no way that there was a Kringle doppelganger running around Gotham this whole time that has the exact same personality as Ed with no explanation. No, I do not accept this, Gotham TV writers. I do not accept this.
Oh yeah, this episode made it even more apparent that she's very manufactured.
Oh yeah.
Oh
dear.
I feel, even if she is dead, which I don't think she is either, that we're going to get an explanation for her before the half season's out even.
Right. Okay, so then the next triangle is Mario, Lee, and Jim. So how much does Mario even know about his father's connection to the Gordons? Because I don't think much, if anything. Because I feel like it would have made this whole situation even more weird to begin with. Let's see. Lee, she's the real pivot here. I think that she truly loves both Mario and Jim, but is currently with Mario because of how many times Jim has disappointed her. I don't feel like their relationship is as solid and secure by a long shot, though. Like, I feel like if Mario steps one more toe out of line, he could be gone.
Yeah,
real quick.
Definitely.
However, Lee does seem to enjoy having the Falcone family name behind her.
And the power.
The power that comes with that. Let's see. I don't think Jim has any idea whatsoever what he wants. Right now, he's just happy to be back with his buddy Harvey. Like, yes, he would take Lee back in a heartbeat, but I think it's just he's like, I need to focus on me now.
Yeah, I have some more thoughts on Jim's state of mind in this episode later on, too.
So
over in the chat room, let's see. Yeah, sorry, I'm looking here. Wynn says Pinky Pants /Ed/Isabella is like Gotham High School Musical.
Yes.
Jim says, I wonder if that is her face or if Dr. Simon is involved. I mean, that would be a really reasonable explanation. I mean, because even if the body was decayed, they might be able to get the face off there in one piece, even if, Kringle had started to crumple. Let's see. Penfold says the crashing sound also could have been the guy landing on the car. Like maybe she hit a guy and landed on the car. Oh, okay. I know what they're saying. Like Simon being thrown out of the building was a crashing sound, and it just happened to overlap with the Kringle scene.
Oh, it could have.
And Bookworm says Kringle's death was before Strange was away from Arkham. Could she actually have powers?
Yes.
I always thought...
Oh, wait, no. Kringle was chopped up, not by Kringle, by Ed.
Okay.
Because she went into the suitcase.
Yes.
But still, the suitcase had to get to the morgue.
Maybe Ed saved her face. Who knows? It's a keepsake.
You know, I don't put that past him.
He saved
He saved the
Doherty's
glasses,
badge.
and he saved Doherty's badge.
Yeah, so anything's possible.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible in
Gotham.
For sure. But there's been a lot of talk of Dr. Simon, so we'll talk about that in a second. But I want to talk about the trouble with Barnes.
Okie dokie.
There was something that kind of came to light and came to focus to me about Barnes this episode. Not surprising, since it was the first time we've ever got a Barnes-centric episode.
Yeah.
Now, Jervis, in that scene in the jail cell, asked about the darkness that his sister's blood has unlocked within Barnes. You know, Barnes talks about it a little bit, but it makes me think back to Barnes' characterization across the seasons. And it kind of reminded me of sort of a real-world phenomena. And I don't mean to get, on election day, get too political or anything, but I think Barnes is like one of those homophobic politicians who inevitably end up being exposed as gay themselves, like they have, you know, a secret gay lover or something that ends up coming out in the press or something like that. His hard position on Law and Order, like you can't bend, you can't break any of this. These are the rules. You have to go by the rules. Was massively overcompensating for the disgust he feels towards criminals, particularly those who work the weaknesses in the system. Like all of the criminals he encounters in this week's episode, like Toad and Dr. Simon, who are like, "Oh, you're a cop. You can't hurt me. Take me in." Although I thought it was weird that they were saying that to a cop in Gotham, of all places.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess he's cleaned up the force a little bit.
But that's I was gonna say, you know, since he took over, the mob really is gone. Like, I'm sorry, Penguins doesn't have the ties that he used to have.
Yeah.
So it's not the same as it was.
But I do think that Alice's blood finally lets Barnes accept the side of himself that has lost the ideals he started with. You know, it's a tragic story, and as the bodies pile up, it's only going to get worse.
Oh, yeah.
That being said, I think that Barnes does win out over the blood's influence in the end.
Okay.
Not by defeating it, but by embracing the dark side that Alice's blood has exposed. I also thought it was interesting to note that he says the same thing that Jervis did about his sister, that her blood, Alice's blood, makes him sane. Jervis said that too about Alice's presence makes me sane. So I'm more convinced now than ever that Jervis was exposed at an early age to Alice's blood and worked through it, much like we see Barnes do in this episode.
So that's why he's crazy.
Yeah, that's why he's nutso pants. And let's see, over in the chat room, Bookworm says Simon was a reference to the doctor who worked the Joker's face in Batman 1989. That's good, because I have some thoughts on that, but I thought it was a reference to a comic book character.
And I totally just read that as Doctor Who. So
nice. Okay, so speaking of Simon, you wanted to bring up a little bit, right?
I think Simon sort of serves as Barnes' Achilles heel. So in the investigation of Simon, it pushes Barnes to start hearing the voices, because he wasn't hearing them until that point, even after he'd already had, dealt with the Toad and the Penny guy. This pushed him that full-on voices thing. Somehow he's able to control it eventually and bring him in. This seemed to satisfy the voices. Because he was able to, like, make them go, shh, and was able to take him to the GCPD instead of, ripping his head off, literally.
That's exactly what I saw as him winning. He took control of it instead of letting it take control of him.
At that point in time. Yeah. It was as if the voices realized that he had failed at punishing the guilty party, and he couldn't control himself when he sees Simon come in to the party. And you know what? It's kind of like Simon realized that too, because he's like, I'm back.
Simon didn't do himself any favors by rubbing it in.
No, and that kind of surprised me because he had been begging for his life. He's like, no, just take me and arrest me. I'm not resisting, da-da-da-da-da. So there was that. Something about Simon and his crimes pushes Barnes over the edge, just as he had come to terms with the fact that he needed to turn himself in, which I think is pretty important, that he had come to, he came to a good place. He had a Zen moment. He calls Everett, says, I'm on my way, or I'm bringing the guy in, bring myself in. And then Simon walks in and it's like, whoosh.
Nope.
Done. Let's see, with each attack, the blood is taking over Barnes' brain a little more, and now he seems to start liking the way it makes him feel. So that's a little...
Yeah, I definitely I felt like Barnes's weakness was his secrets. And I've been saying this for the past couple of weeks. If he had been up front with Jim and or somebody in the GCPD,
Harvey,
even that one moment when right before he goes to put down his badge and gun, and he's like, "Okay, I'm done with it. I'm going to turn myself in." He has this heart to heart with Jim almost.
Yeah, I thought he was going to say something.
Even then, he could have been saved. Now I think it's probably too late.
It's too late. Though I think Jim is suspicious because of the way Barnes like, we're going to clean up this town.
Not to mention Dr. Simon saying Barnes.
And that was after. But that happened after. Like, Jim was already suspicious. And then when he says Barnes, it's like, oh.
Wait a second.
Wait, how? What?
Okay, over in the chat room, Jim says, imagine Barnes commits suicide, but Alice's blood resurrects him and takes over. I like that because, and there's some speculation about who Barnes could be becoming. I think he's going to be a character called the Executioner because next week's episode is called The Executioner. While I've not completely abandoned my Solomon Grundy theory, and I think Jim
that actually leads it more towards Solomon Grundy.
Yeah, I think Jim has a really good scenario where Solomon Grundy, Michael Chiklis could still happen. I think if anything, the Executioner persona will be sort of a transition point to it. So we'll see what happens. And I also want to say hi to Bobby in the chat room because I don't think he's listening, but he popped in, which is awesome. He also got a voicemail in at like 8:30 in the morning, which is just amazing. But we're gonna get back into the main discussion in just a second here. But first, we wanted to tell you about our Patreon. Now, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/universebox. And what it is, if you like the show, if you like what we do here, and if you want to help us with, server cost and the time and effort being put in and everything, this is a great way to help pay us back a little bit for that. I mean, obviously, we love when you're in the chat room. We love when you send in voicemails and letters. But, serving up MP3s to you costs money too. So it's always great to get a little support from the people who take advantage of the service we offer.
No, not take it. Well, take advantage, but
yeah, not take advantage of.
Not take advantage of.
Yeah, they're not just sitting there downloading MP3s over and over again.
Download.
But we also offer up a lot of really awesome rewards, and probably the most important one is the $5 Star Patrons Club. Now, the $5 Star Patrons Club, it's for people who donate $5 or more per month to the Patreon or to the PayPal link we have over at legendsofgotham.com.
Yes.
We will read your name every episode of every podcast we do, and we do like 1 million podcasts.
It feels like it.
For that month. Also, you will be invited to Lee and Mario's engagement party and possibly not be arrested.
Oh, good.
But definitely beaten up in the bathroom.
But you get some whiskey.
Yeah, the people being beaten up in the bathroom this week are Becca Baca, Angel, Holly Mac 79, Monica Jones, Other Anne Marie, Sage of Earth, a.k.a. Patty, Harry Seidler, Timothy Peters, Robert Cattler, Hope Mollinax, Karen Horlatcher, and Jessica Gonzalez.
Enjoy a whiskey on me.
And we're sorry that Barnes threw you through the wall at the end of the episode. If you want to get thrown through the wall by Barnes or your head off the sink or have a whiskey, go to patreon.com/universebox. And remember to think outside. Okay, now it's time to look at this Joker. We're looking at this Joker. Looking at this Joker. Yes.
Look at this Joker. Look at this Joker. Look at this Joker. Look at this Joker.
Wait for it. Look at this Joker. Okay, so look at this Joker is when we look through all the clues, subtle innuendos, and sometimes outright appearances of the Joker on Gotham. You can get to this by going to legendsofgotham.com and clicking Look at this Joker right at the top. We've been doing it since the pilot with that comedian who never showed up again, Laszlo, the Viper dude, all sorts of stuff. And we keep
going. Hey, sign up for our newsletter.
We keep going on and on and on and on. And this page is so long we might have to break it up into 2 eventually. We're going to keep going here, and we're finally here at season 3, episode 8, Blood Rush. Now, Dr. Maxwell, you'll see a picture of a face in a jar here, but Dr. Maxwell Simon's face-slicing side gig calls to mind a recent Joker-centric story arc from the Batman comics. Yes, the Joker sliced his freaking face off for some reason. The storyline was called Death of the Family and featured the doll maker as the face-slicing doctor, not Dr. Simon. Instead of getting a new face, the Joker tied his old one back on, which made him look even freakier than normal. So I thought that was kind of a nice a nice reference to a recent comic book storyline, and I wonder if that will bear fruit when Jerome comes back. Maybe he'll have gotten a new face, or he'll give his face to someone else and it'll be a new actor. I mean, I'm just saying there's a face slicey
No.
guy out there, and he's still alive. That's all I'm saying.
Barely.
Also, all the face stuff, it really freaks me out. Really, really freaks me out. But that's a look at this Joker. Okay, so now we'll get back to the main discussion. And I guess in the chat room, Bobby says he's listening, and Jim says, and we know Jerome is back in Gotham. Exactly my point, Jim.
We totally do, and he should be back sooner rather than later.
It's almost like you live in Gotham, Jim. It's weird. It's sweet
weird.
and freaky, which is the next thing I want to talk about. Okay, now, sweet and freaky, I love the contrast in the Ed Isabella scenes. The early scenes were as sweet as a pile of sugar, heart-shaped eggs and, all these riddles and stuff, stalkerish knowledge of her travel plans notwithstanding. Then it ends with some sort of crazy autoerotic asphyxiation, hookup, and cosplay. It just went to both extremes.
It really did.
Speaking of that last scene, it was smart on Kringle's part, I thought. I mean, obviously...
And by Kringle, you mean Isabella?
Yeah. Isabella as Kringle, I guess you could say. But, obviously she's working with a plan. But getting Ed to face his fear and guilt might be the last step in absolving him of it. Mirror people talking to him happens when he can't accept his own actions. Yeah. Obviously, he still carries guilt for killing Kringle.
Well, wouldn't you?
Maybe. Perhaps this haunted hookup will kill smoky-voiced Mirror Kringle for good, because she was very like this, where Kristen Kringle was like, Ed,
Oh, Ed.
And she was like, oh, Ed. So I thought...
she was choked.
She was... Actually, yeah, that's true. She did have her larynx crushed, probably. So.
Yeah. Isabella.
Isabella. I like that. Okay, and now there was also a good contrast when Oswald came over to break up with Isabella. As he's trying to convince her that her and Ed are wrong for each other, he slowly puts together that they are really perfect for each other, two peas in a pod.
Completely.
And it completely burns him up and probably, exposes him as having a crush on Ed too, to Isabella.
Yeah.
Which, if she survives, she's definitely going to use that against him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so you wanted to talk... We both want to talk about Falcone.
We do want to talk
about Falcone. But why don't
Falcone.
you start off?
Okay, so Falcone is totally up to something. I will never buy that it's a coincidence that Lee and Mario met in Florida only to move back to Gotham. That makes no sense. Also, with Falcone reappearing from retirement and throwing the couple a huge engagement party that sent Barnes's new guilty sense off like crazy with its guests. I think that he wants to take his city back and he's easing his way in.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
I just, I've missed Falcone. I'm just gonna hope that the actor had something going on for season 2 and he's back.
He was on SVU or something.
Probably.
But
I think he was.
Speaking of him wanting to get his city back, I thought his statement was interesting that this city was built because of men like me, and it makes me think he might have been the guy in the chair last week.
No, his voice was different.
But I mean, he could have been disguising it.
Why would he be disguising it? Why would he be doing that?
Because the audience was in the room, duh, and they have to keep it a mystery, and he knows that because he's a fourth wall breaking. Falcone is Batmite. That's my new theory.
No!
He's a fourth wall breaking character. No, but for somebody who's retired, as you point out, he does seem to be popping up quite a bit. I mean, I know his son's getting married, but still. And the inclusion of the Penguin in the court's future plans shows a certain familiarity with his methods. And Falcone is very familiar, considering he got kind of screwed over by the Penguin in season 1.
Yeah, he really did.
This also points towards Isabella being a plant meant to drive a wedge between Penguin and Ed, and maybe librarian-loving Gabe, too, which... Yay, Gabe. I was so glad to see Gabe again.
Glad. Again, this is an actor that I'm assuming just had something going on and couldn't appear.
Yeah, but, Isabella, I thought, was she's too manufactured, too motivated, too much everything Ed wanted Kringle to be just a coincidence. Maybe Dr. Simon helped, as we mentioned before, and maybe the court and Judge Bam Bam helped him back by letting him out of jail.
I'm sorry, Judge Bam Bam. I love it.
Yeah, Donald Logue last night on Twitter said, I hope we get to meet Judge Bam Bam someday, because
awesome.
He's always the guy that gets the criminals out of mischief, out of trouble with the GCPD.
Yep.
Love the Judge Bam Bam reference. Another season 1 callback, I believe.
I believe so.
Let's see. Over in the chat room, a lot of people saying Isabella. Bookworm says Falcone never really retired. I buy that.
Yeah.
And Wynn says loved Falcone trolling Barnes at the party. Yeah, that was a really good interaction.
It was nice also to see the him introduce himself to somebody. He's like, "Hi, you may have heard of me. I'm Don Falcone."
Yes.
Like, I enjoyed that.
And Bookworm also says plant equals Ivy. Not in this episode.
Not this time.
Okay, so you know who was in this episode, though? Stabby Babs. You want to talk a little bit about this, right?
I just love how she just made her way into this party. Like, she just wanted a reason to dress up, I think.
He's my date, or he's my date,
maybe it was
or
him.
she's my date. I'm not sure.
You know, I'm a +1. That's all I know. So I love that Stabby Babs made an appearance at Lee's engagement party. And that Lee thought telling her, "Stay here, I'm going to get someone," would work. Have you learned nothing, Miss Tompkins? So cute. I think that Babs was there to serve a bit as Lee's conscience, though, since I don't think she is over Jim either. Otherwise, Mario wouldn't be so concerned and jealous of him.
Yes.
Saying.
Well, I thought it was interesting, too, that Jim pointed out that,
The jealousy in Mario?
yeah, and that was a weakness. I think that's definitely a weakness Jim's probably going to pounce on, coming up here. But I also thought it was interesting, you talk about Babs and everything. I definitely felt her scene in this episode made it apparent that she's still stuck in the past, pining for a version of Jim who is at war with himself, who kind of got erased last week.
Yeah.
She also still considers Lee her rival when she really isn't. I mean, they might be both interested in Jim's affections, but I don't think they're direct rivals for that the version of Jim's that Babs has in her head. Jim is finally at peace with who he is, and while he might have a future with Lee, he's not depending on it. He's not pining after her like Babs is pining after him. Lee is not somebody Babs is going to need to take out. But I predict we're going to get a new white wedding sort of scenario from Babs in the next few episodes. And she's going to take it out on Lee, even though Lee really isn't her rival because it's a different Jim Gordon. Babs has been stewing all season, and now that Tabby is busy with Butch, she's probably bored as well, so she's probably going to strike back.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Over here in the chat room, Wynn says she has to go. She has to go vote. I said, have fun. Vote Pangy Pants.
Vote Pangy Pants.
And Bookworm says Babs really wants Jim back, which
I
is
think so, too.
very true. Very true. If nothing,
I just would love to see them, go on a date.
Yeah, just like a nice little innocent date. No subterfuge or anything. No gun to the back of his head.
Right. I just wanted to see. I want to see him just be like, okay. Let's go get coffee.
That would be kind of fun, kind of like that Harley Quinn Poison Ivy episode of Batman the Animated Series, where it's just like a night with the gals. Like maybe
yes, I remember that one.
He just goes on a date with Babs and kind of sees the world through her eyes for the entire episode. There's no she's not scheming on him or anything. He just kind of gets to see
just a day.
The world of Stabby Babs. I like that. That would be a lot of fun.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Maybe they will. Okay, so you wanted to talk a little bit about Gotham's direction to wrap up here, right?
Okay. While I love the direction that Gotham is going, there were there were many characters noticeably absent in this episode. Many. Bruce, Alfred, and Selena. And now that Bruce and Selena are officially a Batcat, they get lumped together in their disappearance. Shouldn't Bruce and Alfred have been at Lee and Mario's engagement party? It's a society event, and that is what he is supposed to be doing.
You think, because Bruce has a relationship with Lee, too. Not like a romantic one, but just like they know each other pretty well.
Exactly. And you know what? Alfred tried to have a relationship with Lee also, so let's see that play out. Ivy. I wonder where she's been now that or what she's been up to now that she has been an adult. Still dating that silver fox from that one episode? Or
I doubt it.
Moved on to somebody more her age? Does she have any regrets about the dude she killed? Or is she embracing the new her and killing more? I need to know more. And it's been about 2 or 3 episodes. So, I'd like to see what's going on.
Yeah, it's interesting to note that, this is the second episode this season that did not have one Bruce or / Alfred scene.
I think we're getting a lot more, and they had to save up child actor hours.
Yeah, that's very possible. Because, I think we did the calculation with some help from our chat room and stuff a couple weeks ago. But I think this might be only the 3rd episode ever of Gotham that didn't have Bruce in it.
Right,
and 2 in one season.
Just 2 very close to each other.
Yeah.
So, and we know he's not off in Italy or the Alps or anything.
Maybe he is off training with some Grandmasters or something. Maybe that's why Bruce hasn't been around.
Grandmaster Selena?
I don't know.
No, he just wants to go have dinners with his girlfriend now. Butch and Tabby.
He's in love.
Are they playing Donna Reed at the safe house in Gotham or plotting their revenge? Yanni, Bruce, Mystery Gordon, and the court. Really, Gotham TV writers, you gave us these tidbits and then you hide them from us for weeks? Not cool. Not cool. Fish and Strange. I'm still not buying that they ran off to the woods, never to be seen again. Where are they?
Very true.
I censored myself.
You did. You did. You did a very good job censoring yourself.
I try.
But yeah, definitely Fish and Strange are the big... I kind of feel, because some news came out over the past week that the winter finale for Gotham isn't going to be until like late January, right?
30th. But they still have to have time off in December because that's what Hollywood does.
Yeah, and there was also some talk from the creators of Gotham back over the summer that it was going to be a unit of X number of episodes, then three,
like 3 or 4,
then
and
the
then
last
rest.
half of the season.
Right.
So I'm guessing we're going to get that first unit before December. We're going to get the 3 in January, and then they're going to come back in the spring with the remaining half of the season. So I actually...
So the Mad City should be ending here soon.
Yeah. I would actually peg that 3-episode sort of comeback thing as being the Fish and Strange fallout. Like,
I could see that.
I could see that being the Fish Strange situation for sure. Okay, let's see here. The Strange Fish, as Bookworm in the chat room puts it. Okay, well, I think we're about done with our main discussion. We do have some feedback and some news and stuff, so stay tuned. But now it's time for the arbitrary scale, where I make up a thing in my head based on the episode, and we rate the episode based on it. So out of 193 faces in a jar, Anne-Marie, how many faces in a jar do you give this episode? And feel free to chime in the chat room, too.
181.
181, why?
It was really good. Like I said, it felt very cinematic with and its focus and everything, but there was just a lot missing.
Yeah.
Like, I've gotten used to Gotham having like 5 storylines going at once. And even if we don't get more than like a scene or a callback, even, like, nobody even said Bruce.
Yeah.
So that seemed a little odd to me. So I'd 181.
Okay, as for me, I'm going to give it just a little sketch less than you. I'm going to give it 180. Because while it was really cool to have a very season 1 throwbacky, character-centric episode, it did feel a little overcrowded. I went to rewatch it this morning, and I was like, we're only halfway through the episode, and I have 3 pages front and back of notes because so much is going on. So it was a little overwhelming. It was a bit easier to follow the second time through for sure.
Yeah.
And a lot more stuff jumped out at me. But if I shave off a few faces in a jar, it's just because it was a little overcrowded. Over in the chat room, Bookworm says 180 because of no Batcat or Yanni Bruce.
Yep.
Very, very good Bookworm. And we'll keep reporting those as they happen. So now, on to the news. News. First up, the ratings.
We don't know them because it's too early.
Yeah, we're recording so early. We're going to assume Gotham got a 10.0, meaning...
everyone in the United States was watching them and not preparing for the election that's happening right now.
Everyone decided not to vote and just to rewatch this episode of Gotham over and over again. Yeah. But we do have an episode coming up next week. Actually, this is not...
It's not it?
Yeah, this is not the trailer for next week's episode.
Yes, it is.
Gordon and Barnes have a standoff? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it is.
I thought it would have had the episode title.
This is the one I got directly from the Gotham thing. It's... what is next week called? The Executioner.
Yeah, it's The Executioner. So I
don't know, man.
Let's go ahead and take a look at this preview here. Okay, so we have Jim and Barnes hanging out, Harvey and Jim talking.
Fighting. I like that we get the Ivy, Selena, and Bruce.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be very centric.
I think she reveals, and that's why I think they've left the 3 of them off so much lately, is they have a very centric episode. Well, somebody just went through a window.
Ed and Oswald were looking very intense too, and it looks like Jim and Barnes have a showdown, which is not surprising.
No.
Based on what happened this week. So that's going to be really good. I'm very excited for it, especially since we'll have more than 12 hours to process the whole episode.
Right.
And Bobby over in the chat room gives it 172 faces in a jar. Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you.
Okay, speaking of faces in a jar.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Take off your face. Put it in a jar.
No.
And then next week, when you're watching The Executioner, pick that face up, take a selfie with it, email it over to us, legendsofgotham@gmail.com, tweet us at Legends of Gotham. The Facebook is facebook.com/groups/Legends of Gotham. And what I want you to do also is record yourself while you're cutting your face off. the screams like, ah! And then, send that over to us in a voicemail, 424-274-2352. Again, that's 424-274-2352. And as usual, we're going to start with Bobby. Take it away, Bobby.
Hey guys, it's Bobby, and just wanted to leave a few of my thoughts on last night's Gotham. Doesn't look like Barnes is going to be Grundy, but I definitely am interested in what's going on with him going forward. As far as the Enigma, Penguin, Isabella things going on, I did not think it was going to come to a head as soon as it did, but I'm sure we all saw that coming. It was rather unfortunate because for a moment there, it looked like Penguin. When he was giving her the out, it did look like he kind of looked around and saw that he did care for her, or she cared for him rather, and he knows that Riddler cared for her. So he was for a brief moment, it did look like he was thinking maybe I should just let, maybe he loved Enigma so much that he would let Enigma, be in love with her. But ultimately, that wasn't the case. Enigma or Riddler wants. Or not Riddler, Penguin gets what he wants. And although Butch is no longer in the picture for the time being, it was really cool to see that I don't remember the name of the thug, but he definitely came from central casting for Goons. And I can't remember his name. I wish I did, but I love him as a Goon character in the show. I don't know. I'm just going to keep it brief, and that's all I'll talk about today. Hopefully I get in before you guys start recording, and
you did.
Success.
Arbitrary scale, I'll give it 12 of 15 veins popping in around Barnes' eye.
Nice.
All right, see you guys later.
That was almost my arbitrary scale, was the number of veins in Barnes' face. Over in the chat room, Bookworm is saying there's a Batman villain called the Electrocutioner. And I pointed out, they were in season 1. Actually, one of my favorite posters we've ever done, too. But next up, we have Jacob. Take it away, Jacob.
Hi, Bill and Anne-Marie. This is Jacob. I'd like to talk a little bit about Blood Rush. It was a great episode, and I like the fact that there were only 2 main plot lines. Usually they have more and they're harder to follow, but the one with Barnes and then the one with Oswald, Isabella, and Ed.
Jacob, I hate to interrupt you. Jerome just showed up in the chat room going, ha ha ha! So we're a little freaked out. Go ahead.
But we're horrific. First of all, the main one with Barnes turning into, I'm still not sure what, but just a lot. I guess he's going mad with Alice's blood, and that's affecting him in he has rage, there's it's been said before about Barnes that, and what I thought too all along was that his by-the-book, no-nonsense attitude was lurking behind that is definitely a dark side. And he's sick and tired of criminals getting away with the thing. So he's...
Barnes' dark side. You heard it here first.
Always had a lot of anger about that. Now with Alice's blood, it's coming out. The rage that he's always felt about that is coming to the surface. And I thought it was, Michael Chiklis played it beautiful. Writer thought it beautiful. How his good side, he was trying to fight it. He thought he was going to win, just like Mad Hatter. Jarvis said, you try to win, you think you're winning, then you hear voices and you go over completely, and it takes you over completely. And that's exactly what happened to him. And by the end, at the end, he was hearing the voices. Everyone in Gotham was guilty, and he's going to clean up the city with Gordon. And I think what it's heading for, obviously was...
Sorry, Jerome update from the chat room. Jerome says, what do you call a tavern full of birds? A crowbar. Ha ha ha. I'm going for Bruce. Crap.
And they accelerated it with Dr. Simon telling Jim at the end that Barnes did it to him, that there's going to be a big showdown, maybe even as early as next week, between Barnes and James Gordon. And we'll see how that ends up, but that's going to be awesome, I think. And the second plot line, which I thought was also very good, was, this love triangle between Edward, Isabella, and Oswald. And I'm just mystified with Isabella. There's something why she would. Hey guys, it's Jacob again. Sorry about the
his call cut off.
I just wanted to finish you up. I know you're going to have to cut this down. I just don't understand what's going through. What's up with her? Why she put on the Kristen persona and then almost had choke her. I don't get that. But my theory,
it was for him to get over the fear.
Is she's going to survive the crash, be in the hospital, something, and then tell Ed. Ed is going to find out that it was Oswald that tried to kill her, and then there's going to be a Riddler Penguin face-off. And that's going to be awesome. So my thing is going to be faces in a jar, and out of 100 faces in a jar, I give it 99. Very, very, very good. Looking forward to the podcast, and talk to you later. Goodbye.
Hey guys, it's Bobby.
Wait, Bobby.
You've already had your time.
Ding, 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 ding. Jacob, this week you win the Guess the Arbitrary Scale contest. You win absolutely nothing but our eternal gratitude.
Respect and gratitude.
Yes, and stuff like that. And yeah, this Jerome guy in the chat room is freaking me out. Yeah, it's
the Joker with big fist, looking like a double R.
Okay, we're going to wrap up with a letter from Carlos. Carlos says, "Good morning, guys.
Good
morning.
Carlos,
and I hope you are doing well. Last night's episode was really good. I swear each episode is getting better and better. To start off things off, I appreciate the Easter eggs of Mr. Toad and especially Professor Pig from the comics. Yeah, I did catch that too. They very much felt like those Grant Morrison characters from, I believe it was Batman and Robin. He wrote those in.
Okay.
Or it might have been in Batman Rip. But the way they described on what the Doctor does regarding that he takes people's faces to give them a perfect face is very similar to Pig's MO. Whether or not these are Professor Pig and Mr. Toad, or this was just a hint that we may see them later down the line, remains to be seen. Poor Isabella. Kringle. Well, they are more or less the same.
Yep.
Anyway, she was playing with fire when she thought she could challenge Oswald, and that was her mistake, and I believe that this is Gotham's way of separating Oswald and Enigma in order to be rivals to one another. And as a side note, I was wrong about Isabella planning something against Enigma. Turns out that she was just as crazy as he is, if not a little more so. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed what they were doing with Barnes, although I do feel bad on what he is going through. I realize that they are doing a reversal role between Jim's and Barnes, with Jim deciding to follow the law once again, to now Barnes setting aside to all he stood for and taking the law into his own hands, which brings me to my next point. As he was going through his final phase of transformation, the way that he talked reminded me of the Judge from Batman the Animated Series, who was actually Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, further along in his career as a criminal. He created a third personality in order to right some of the wrongs he had committed as Two-Face and to bring about some justice to Gotham's criminals. I also heard from other people about another character who was also in the animated series that I completely forgot about. This has been mentioned in the chat room a couple times. Okay. And I believe they called him Lockup. I'm not entirely sure that's how they called him, but he was a guard at Arkham Asylum, and he was brutal and nasty to the inmates. He would abuse them and tortured them to the point where they were either afraid of him or had a psychotic meltdown, and he did it because he felt that was true justice, and that's what criminals deserve, just like Barnes and his new ideals. This season is just getting more and more exciting from what we saw last night. These next few weeks are going to be crazy. Take care of yourself, and let's see how these elections go.
Crazy!
Vote for Panky Pants.
Vote Panky Pants.
Thanks, Carlos. And
Carlos.
Obviously, the obvious parallel that I haven't seen a lot of people bring up here is Judge Dredd, the comic book character / Sylvester Stallone / Carl Urban character from the movies. But he actually says, one of his most famous lines is, "I am the law. I am judge, jury, and executioner."
I actually did see that somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just didn't see it anywhere in our discussion today, so I just wanted to point that out.
That's because I know nothing about it.
And then the Joker is saying, let's see, time to blow up Gotham and hit Meeks with the crowbar. Ha ha ha.
Okay, now time to get scared.
Are you saying that I'm as reviled as Jason Todd was in the 80s, Jerome? I take great issue with that. I want you to write in a detailed 5-paragraph essay on why that's the case, because I don't believe you. You can email at legendsofgotham@gmail.com, tweet us at Legends of Gotham. The Facebook is facebook.com/groups/Legends of Gotham, and the voicemail number is 424-274-2352. Let us hear your screams. 424- 274-2352.
You're welcome.
Now, again, we want to thank our chat room, Jerome and Bobby and Bookworm and
Penfold
Jim
and Jim.
All of those we've lost along the way.
And the rest.
You can normally join us 8:30 p.m. EST at live.universebox.com when we record live, or you can pick up the show later at legendsofgotham.com.
This was a good chat room for being a weird time.
Yeah, for being like way early in the morning for sure. Anne-Marie, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at DeSimone.
As for me, you can follow me on Twitter at Bill Meeks. You can follow all of the shows we do at universebox.com. And, you can follow us live here in about 15 20 minutes. We're going to go live with our Universe Box podcast, which is all entertainment news. We're going to be talking Young Justice.
Suicide
Squad saving a bunch of companies. The return of The Simpsons. All sorts of crazy, geeky, fun stuff. So we hope you join us for that. Just stay in the chat room, and I'll let you know when to refresh the page once we get that updated. So I guess that about does it for this week. So join us next time for more Legends of Gotham. I should start that music earlier, probably.
You really should. I don't know why you don't. Yeah. I love this music. Makes me happy.
Jerome is really freaking me out.
Jerome is freaking me out a little, and I need to go lock the door.
Wait, I'll get him gone. Wait. All right.
It's Clobberin time.
Okay, we got to vote on a title real quick. We have It's Clobberin Time. Oh, music's starting over again because Loop is on for some reason. Let's see here. Yeah, but we have It's Clobberin Time, A Tale of Two Gothams, The Trouble with Barnes, and Isabella. So what vote ye, Anne-Marie?
It's Clobberin time.
It's Clobberin Time? Yep. Okay. As for me, I'm going to vote It's Clobberin Time, too. So if we have no objections from the chat room, we're going to go with It's Clobberin Time. We're going to give you about 30 seconds. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead.
Jerome has quit. You know why? Because he's probably outside our front door.
Our laugh scared him off.
That's it.
Good work, Anne-Marie. Good work. Okay, so we're going to give it another couple seconds here, and yeah, I think that's it. It's Clobberin Time, name of the episode. We love you guys so much. Please stick around for Legends or Universe Box if you want to.
You're like, I don't know what we're doing. We're doing something.